Hello and welcome back. We are going to look at how to export a e-publication from InDesign. We're going to use the magazine to do this. So it's a 4-page document with a front and back cover and then an article on the inside. And currently the way that we have our magazine set up, the way that we were intending to shoot this thing off for a press publication was that we had facing pages. Facing pages ends up creating some different results in an ebook publication. And what that means is that my front page, instead of like taking up the whole screen of my device, will share the screen wide, like as widescreen wise, with a white page to its left. But you'll be able to like flip the pages, which is kind of cool. So if you are going to design for an ebook specifically, the best thing to do would be to create a whole new document under the specifications of the ebook. In our case, we're going to just adapt this magazine to an ebook. We'll have to make some changes. But the first thing I want to look at is what do you do if you want to create a new document for an ebook. And that's still creating a new document. And the intent, instead of being print, will be for digital publishing. And by default, facing pages should be turned off. We don't need a primary text frame. You still choose the number of pages that you would want, maybe 4 here. And then the page size. What's your target? Are you looking to do an iPhone, an iPad, a Kindle, an Android? The best, most common denominator is the iPad. And that sets you up with a width of 1024 and a height of 768. So the orientation will be landscape, so that you're looking at it with your device turned to the side. You could set it to be a portrait, and that'll make it so that you hold the thing vertical. And in our case of a magazine, you'd probably want to do this. But if you're looking for more of a landscape kind of format, you could definitely do that. So I'm just going to leave it at portrait. Columns doesn't matter. Our margins, 36 pixels is good. Just trying to keep it from getting too close to the edge of the screen. We don't need bleeds because we're not going to print it, right? It's just showing up on a screen, so your bleeds could be 0. When I hit OK, it thinks for a little bit. Come on, there we go. I'll just zoom out to show the layout. So the layout now is a vertical stack. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. So you could copy and paste your content in here if you were trying to fit the screen exactly, and then just sort of recreate your layout. That's fine, there's no problem with that. But we can do this just within our own document right now. The thing is that the aspect ratio is going to be a little bit different than an iPad screen. So there'll be a little bit of space at the top and a little bit of space at the bottom, but you wouldn't even really notice. It's pretty darn close to being set up for the size of a device like an iPad. The iPhone is a little more space on the top and bottom just because it has a different aspect ratio. So the book that you're publishing, though, is going to be readable on all kinds of devices. It'll be readable on a computer, it'll be readable on a portable device, not just an iPad or iPhone. Any of the other ones will be able to read it as well. It's just the formatting of the dimensions that are different when you're setting up the new document that matters if you're trying to figure that out. So how do we get this document to be the 4 stacked deals? Well, that's just going to File, Document Setup, and we will unclick Facing Pages. And if you just click Preview, you'll see what happens. It stacks them on top. So I still have a number of pages being 4, my start page being 1, and I'll hit OK. And there we go. So it's basically the same result as going through a new file, only we don't have to create 2 different documents for this. So one thing I just want to go over is that I did put in some hyperlinks on my back page. There we go. And what I did is I selected my logo and then I put in a Facebook button. Okay, these elements, these images, will have hyperlinks. And the way that I did this is I went and accessed my hyperlinks panel, which is found under the interactive panel. Look at all that interactive stuff you can do within InDesign. It's really cool. So I just went to hyperlinks. It opened up the hyperlinks panel. If you want, you can dock this to the other guys down there so that it's cleaner. Okay, and I selected my logo, and in the URL I typed the address for NASA. I put in NASA here. In fact, I'll just do it over. So my logo is selected. I go to the URL right here. I type in www.nasa.gov and hit enter, and I end up getting a dotted line around the edge here. That dotted line is merely just a reminder that we have a hyperlink on it. Okay, it's not going to show up in our publishing. So then I did the same thing with Facebook. I just selected the Facebook image that I had placed on here, and I went to the URL for the hyperlinks, and I put in just facebook.com. So that means that when I publish this, since we're going to be looking at this magazine on an electronic device, a device that is potentially connected to the internet, I can start leading viewers to places to follow up on certain links, to make the experience even more interactive and engaging. And this could be done anywhere. I could put in little graphics, or I could select text and create a hyperlink. They can be however you want to help engage. The other thing you can do is you can put in movies. It's really awesome how far you can take the e-publication process. And right now we're just keeping it simple, but there's lots of information out there about how to make a richer experience in this. So I'm ready to go. I'm going to file, export, and I'm going to find a folder. I'll make a new folder, call it eBook, and I'll name it the Repop eBook, and the format is going to be an EPUB fixed layout. And this means that it won't have any sort of, it won't change your design at all. And if you have it set to reflowable, that means that it could end up kind of moving things around based on orientation of a screen or whatnot. But you're saying, nope, this is the way I want it, and it's going to be fixed. If you want to look into reflowable, that's a whole nother can of worms. We're keeping it clean. So we're going to hit save. It'll ask us some specifics about what we want. We want all pages. Our cover is going to be a rasterized first page, but you could ultimately have created another cover and put it in. And there are some conversion settings. This is all good just by default. There's CSS if you have any scripting in there, JavaScript, and metadata. This is a place where you would probably want to put in the information of the title of the magazine, who created it, what date, a small description. There's no publisher, but if there were rights, if you had photos in there that you wanted to say, this is copyright, whatever, blah blah blah, and then identify it as a subject, that'll help it fall into specific categories in genres of books that your book viewing app would help you out. And then you've got system default here for me, but you could end up adding applications if you wanted to. Whatever your computer has for reading ebooks, that's pretty much what will show up here. So I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to export my ebook, and upon completion it's going to put it in my default ebook reader, which is iBooks here on the Mac, and there it is. There is my electronic digital viewing experience of this magazine, which is freaking awesome. So I can just click to the next page, do my reading, go to the next page, and here we are in the back, and I can click on the logo and it'll take me to NASA. I can click on Facebook and it'll take me to Facebook. So there is the digital publishing, whatever, I won't wait for it to load, version of our magazine. And it's really amazing how versatile this ends up being. I've sent this to my iPad and looked at it on my iPad. I've sent it to my phone, looked at it on my phone. I've sent it to friends and they can open it up. I've just sent it through email basically. But if you wanted to go through all the different avenues of how to get an actually book published digitally, then there's lots of ways to do that too. So that's how that happens, and it's really pretty simple. You just got to keep in mind there's a few different specifics you got to work out, and it's really good to test it. Publish it, test it, look at it, make sure everything works. If there's little glitches or things aren't formatting the way that you need them to, then you have to go back and make those changes so that you get what you want. All right, thanks for watching.